In June 2025, a YouTuber named Ben uploaded a rather disturbing video titled "Exploring the Most Demonic Haunted House in Australia" to his channel Ben Bauer. Ben's channel primarily focuses on urban exploration, where he frequently shares footage of himself exploring various haunted and abandoned locations throughout Australia. In this particular video, Ben, along with one of his friends Zach, set out to explore and investigate a haunted house located somewhere in Australia. As Ben and Zach began their exploration, they arrived at the location in the middle of the night. The duo then climbed through a tree and eventually entered the house. Once inside, they made their way into one of the rooms and started their investigation. The first half of their video simply shows them conducting various tests using the ghost hunting equipment that they brought. During this time, they did obtain some readings from their EVP recordings and K2 meters, but nothing conclusive to indicate the house was truly haunted. The duo then decided to conduct a test using the Ouija board. For the first few minutes of the test, they encountered nothing unusual except for hearing some faint footsteps and distant noises. Although a little startled, they eventually returned to the Ouija board. However, as they were conducting the test, that's when they encountered something truly inexplicable.
Alright, we got ghost equipment laid out everywhere. I think the only thing that we can really do right now is Ouija board, man.
Honestly?
Realistic.
Yeah.
Is Ouija board. Alright guys, we have set up and we've got the Ouija board set up. So without further ado guys, let's start the Ouija board session in this house. Is there someone in this house? If so, move to yes on the Ouija board. Bro, nah, it sounds like someone's pacing out there, dude. The door. Nah, man, I don't like this. Nah, bro.
No.
Oh my god.
There's no way, bro.
Holy f***.
That's like full pacing and
Oh my god! Oh my god! Zach! Oh my god! Oh my, bro, I can't breathe!
Dude, what the fuck do we do?
I'm gonna pass out. Holy f***.
I'm actually like full shaken.
To the explorers' absolute shock, the door in front of them mysteriously opened. Terrified for their lives, they immediately jumped up and started screaming. Disturbingly, just moments after the door opened, you can see what appears to be a shadowy particle moving away from it. After this bizarre encounter, the duo remained at the end of the room for several minutes, trying to make sense of what they had just witnessed. They eventually composed themselves and went outside the door to check if someone was responsible for moving it, but they unfortunately found nothing that could have caused the door to move with such force. However, they did go back inside to conduct their test later on in the video, but they did not encounter anything similar again. They ultimately ended their investigation and left the house. It's still unclear how the door had mysteriously opened on its own, along with the mystery behind whether what Ben and Zach witnessed that night was paranormal. But if this encounter was truly paranormal, then the duo might have captured some of the most compelling paranormal evidence. However, based on their reaction and the fact that they remained inside the house, even after seeing the door open, it's very unlikely that the duo actually encountered something paranormal that night. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide whether what Ben and Zach witnessed during their visit was truly paranormal or simply an elaborate hoax.
Checking for snakeage, guys. As you know, I have the biggest fear of any wildlife of Australia. There's definitely like a massive anaconda in this bush.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh!
What?
Water trickled. What's that? Was that my bag that did that?
Yes.
Oh, already off to a bad start.
Yup.
If you've enjoyed the video so far, it would mean a lot if you considered subscribing. Over 95% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. Your support really helps the channel grow, and in return, I promise to keep bringing you guys the best quality content. Now let's get back to the video. In February of 2018, a YouTuber named Anton uploaded a chilling video titled "Exploring the Abandoned Cooley High School in Detroit" to his channel Anton Daniels. Anton's channel is slightly different from other urban exploration channels, while his videos do feature him exploring various abandoned locations. His channel also presents a diverse range of content, from commentary on popular culture and current events to documenting his day-to-day lifestyle. In this particular video, Anton decided to explore an abandoned school known as the Thomas Cooley High School, situated in Detroit, Michigan. Originally opened in 1927, the school served as an educational hub in Detroit for generations and provided high-quality education to its youth. But like many urban schools, this high school also faced several challenges in the latter half of the 20th century, including declining enrollment number due to population shifts and the city's economic struggles, as well as budget cuts. As a result, Thomas Cooley High School officially closed its doors in 2010 after serving its community for 83 years. Since then, the building has been completely abandoned and has remained vacant. However, in October of 2017, the building tragically suffered a significant fire, which caused further damage to the already deteriorating structure. And just 4 months after this incident, Anton set out to visit and explore the remaining remnants of the building. As Anton began his exploration and stepped foot inside the building, he immediately noted that it had a very creepy atmosphere, with minimal to no natural light coming in and an eerie silence accompanying every step that he took. During this time, he also mentioned that the building was in a complete mess, with deteriorating walls and ceilings, along with trash and junk scattered everywhere. This suggested that squatters or homeless individuals might have lived inside the school at some point. But fortunately for Anton, he neither saw anything nor did he hear any signs that indicated that anyone was currently within the building. He then continued exploring and decided to go towards the main hallway. However, just moments later, as he was walking through the hallway, that's when things began to take a turn for the worse for Anton.
You know how large the school is? It's a restroom. And I heard the alumni actually tried to purchase the school before it fell this far into disrepair. Completely stripped of anything worth value. Yeah, lockers over here. I don't even know where I'm headed because I don't know the layouts of these schools. You know, a lot of the damage that you see in these places, and I know you guys get tired of me for going off on people who damage and tear these places up. So apparently there's a hood, which means that you can cook in here. I'm guessing people were stripping the mess out of this place, broke a tool, left it in there. It's crazy. Editing suite. What's in the editing suite? Nothing's in the editing suite. You're not about to trap me in here. Man. There's no remnant of anything classroom related, that's for sure. What the heck is that? Apparently there was a fire, or someone set it on fire. There's no point in that happening.
After exploring various rooms inside the building, Anton quickly discovered that almost every room was completely empty. Anything of value, from old furniture to even copper wires and scrap metal, was missing. This indicated that scrappers had likely been inside the building and were responsible for taking these items. This detail is particularly alarming, given that if a scrapper was still inside the building or were to come back and see Anton, the situation could escalate quickly. But again, Anton up to this point hadn't heard anything that indicated anyone was currently within the building. For the next 15 minutes, Anton continued exploring the lower level and eventually decided to go upstairs and explore the remaining parts of the building. However, when Anton went upstairs and was walking through one of the rooms, that's when he made a chilling discovery.
Guess we'll head upstairs. Yeah, man, these high schools, man, in Detroit were absolutely humongous, bro. I like going up the stairs because it's less dangerous, less trampled on, and there's less of a possibility of something happening to me. Also, what's awesome about going upstairs a lot of times is that you get a lot more natural light. Hey, do the new schools have these type of pencil sharpeners? I love those pencil sharpeners. As a matter of fact, I remember we used to play this game called Breaks, and you try to break the other person's pencil. A waste of your mom's money towards good supplies, school supplies. It's just like me. When you show something like this, all that means is what is that noise? I did hear something. hear it?
After hearing the strange noises, Anton initially did get startled by them and remained in his position to try and determine their source. However, given that he hadn't heard anything else up to that point, and considering the building's complete disrepair, Anton didn't jump into any conclusions, nor did he bother to investigate the noises. He ultimately dismissed them as the wind or simply as being caused by the building's poor condition. Anton then continued his exploration and made his way into one of the classrooms. Fortunately for Anton, he didn't hear the noises during this time. However, as soon as he left that classroom, that's when he encountered something that completely changed the course of his exploration.
Oh, this is dope. This is a media center, completely exposed to the elements, which means that it's freezing cold in here. Apparently people from 7 Mile were in here. Yo, who was that? What you doing in here?
I see people coming in here.
What you mean you seen people come in here?
They be taking pictures and doing all that other stuff in here.
I knew I heard something.
Okay.
What's going on, man?
You all right?
Been in here before?
I've seen people just be coming in here taking pictures, and I see, So I just come and they do graffiti.
So I ain't got nothing to worry about, right?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Just keep a lookout for me.
Okay.
I don't want nobody running up on me.
Okay, well,
So apparently you live around here, right?
yes, they're right across the street.
So tell me a little bit about this place. It's nothing like having a personal tour guide.
When I came here,
Nothing interesting down these hallways?
I think it's all depending on what you want to see.
I want to see the gym. Whoa. What is going on
This
here?
was the auditorium. Now,
Whoa.
when they first started,
This is crazy.
right?
It's nothing left but the metal from the chairs.
Listen, wasn't nothing wrong with this auditorium.
Look at the
The
ceilings.
fire came, they set it on fire, it burnt up everything.
I see. This auditorium is dope, man.
Fortunately for Anton, the individual that he encountered inside the building was neither hostile nor aggressive towards him. Although their initial conversation seemed a little tense, the situation quickly calmed down when the individual realized Anton was harmless and was merely there to take pictures. Their conversation from that point appeared pretty friendly, and they both began talking in a respectful manner. The individual even went out of his way and generously provided Anton with a tour of the place. The individual later introduced himself as Daryl and mentioned that he lived near the school and had always looked out for its safety, and even more now considering that there was a massive fire that broke out a few months prior. He also noted that the cause of the fire wasn't accidental and that a group of kids intentionally set fire to the auditorium for no good reason other than to mess around. For almost the next 10 minutes, Daryl gave Anton a detailed tour of the school, showing him various rooms, along with the fire damage that was caused. Anton later even offered Daryl some food and money for his kindness and generosity. Nevertheless, this video serves as a good reminder and a contrast to the videos typically featured on this channel that not every individual you encounter in an abandoned location is dangerous or hostile, and you never know, you might meet someone as kind as Daryl and get a personal guide who will provide a tour of the building. In June of 2025, a YouTuber named Chris uploaded a rather disturbing video titled "Dangerous Encounter Exploring the Rockefeller Building" to his channel Urbex Hill. His channel is dedicated to urban exploration, and he often uploads footage of himself exploring various abandoned locations across the United States. In this particular video, Chris decided to explore a high-rise building known as the Rockefeller Building, situated in Cleveland, Ohio. As Chris began his exploration and entered the building, he immediately noted its immense size and mentioned that it was unlike anything that he'd explored before. This not only meant a lengthy exploration, but also that if Chris were to hear or see anything suspicious, locating their source would be nearly impossible. Nevertheless, Chris hoped for the best and cautiously began moving through the building. During the initial minutes of his exploration, Chris noted that the building was abandoned after the pandemic. But despite its recent abandonment, the structures inside were in a terrible condition, with crumbling walls, damaged ceilings, along with debris and trash scattered everywhere. As he explored further, he also discovered several signs that suggested that someone might have been living within the building recently. But fortunately for Chris, he neither saw anything nor did he hear any signs that indicated anyone was currently inside with him. He then continued with his exploration and decided to go down to the basement. However, as Chris was walking down the stairs, that's when he made a chilling discovery.
Someone must have just recently pissed on the ground right here. That's gross. Wow, those are all bullet holes.
Are people really in here shooting? It's a 9mm. That's crazy. Other shell, or a bullet casing, I should say. That's crazy. There's people literally shooting in this building. That is crazy.
The location of the bullet holes, the nature of the bullet holes, the distance of the weapon from the body of Mr. Boucherie, they didn't release any information at all. This must be from a court case or something.
That's crazy. Bro, more bullet casings. Look at that. Look, another one in this bathroom. More right there, right there. That's crazy.
As Chris walked down the stairs, he suddenly stumbled upon a bullet casing lying on the floor. When he reached the bottom, he discovered even more bullet casings, and some areas nearby even had visible holes in the walls and doors. At one point, he also discovered a transcript from a document related to some sort of a criminal investigation. In the text, the speaker discusses the location and the nature of bullet holes, and the distance of the weapon from the body of Mr. Boucherie. It also emphasizes that the information given to a witness could only have come from the suspect. The speaker strongly believes that the pieces of the puzzle, after hearing all the testimony, will fit perfectly. Based on these details, it seems like the document is part of a witness statement or closing argument in a trial regarding a criminal investigation, where the speaker is confident that the evidence will lead to a conclusive verdict. If this document is actually from a real case, then this encounter takes a very bizarre turn, particularly since Chris discovered it near the bullet holes and casings, strongly implying a connection between the document and a past sinister event within the building. But again, it's hard to determine whether the document was from a real case or merely a part of a fictional script. Chris, upon finding the document, didn't jump into any conclusion and eventually left it alone. For the next several minutes, Chris continued exploring, and he fortunately didn't find any more bullet casings, nor did he find any other documents. Chris then left that floor and decided to go upstairs.
Somebody's definitely sleeping in here. You can smell it. It smells like people been sleeping in here. That's super sketchy. Yeah. Somebody's recently slept in that bed. Yeah, look at the chair. Somebody's been here. Like, literally just recently. Cigarettes. Yeah. Yeah, even the chairs are, like, organized. Like, people have been here. Rather recently. And it smells like cigarettes.
After Chris entered one of the rooms, he discovered several signs indicating that people might have been living in the building recently. Disturbingly, when he explored another room, he found even more evidence confirming that people had indeed occupied the space at some point. However, since Chris hadn't heard or seen anything suspicious, apart from the bullet holes in the casings, he didn't think too much about these details and eventually got back to his exploration. By this point, Chris had been exploring the building for several hours, and it was getting late at night. Aware of the fact that people might live in the building and could return at any point during the night to sleep, Chris decided that the best course of action was to explore as quickly as possible and start checking out the upper levels.
Nothing to see here. Somebody's here. I heard something. William H. Smith.
And so oh shit. Somebody's here. Listen to that.
After hearing the noises, Chris initially froze and listened intently to make sense of their source. But given that the building was huge, Chris had absolutely no idea whether the noises were coming from the floor above him or if they were originating from the floor that he was on. And even if they were coming from the same floor as him, it would be extremely hard for him to locate their source. But Chris didn't back down. Instead, he spent the next several minutes listening intently, trying his best to determine the source of the noises.
I wonder if that was somebody. What the hell? This place is so big, anybody can be here. Also, I don't know what floor that noise came from. I'm gonna try to listen for it. I don't hear nothing. I mean, to be completely honest, I wouldn't be surprised if I run into somebody homeless here, living. I don't know, that noise was so loud. It may have been a group of people in here. What's this wet spot from? The ceiling is dry.
After Chris went toward the noise to investigate, he eventually located its source. Although Chris wasn't able to capture the audio during this time, he later mentioned that he started hearing a lot of noises coming from the stairs, which oddly sounded like a group of people talking and playing music on their phones. Chris immediately turned off his light and began listening intently, trying to make sense of who they were. Thinking they might be fellow urban explorers, Chris turned his light on and went to the stairwell to see who they were. But when he approached the door, he accidentally scared a woman who was with the group. The woman, startled by seeing Chris, screamed and ran up the stairs, yelling for help. As she was running, Chris assured her he was an explorer and wasn't there to harm anyone. But one of the guys ran down the stairs and aggressively began confronting Chris, asking who he was and why he was there. Chris replied that he was just taking pictures of the building. By this point, Chris had realized that they weren't explorers, they were a group of scrappers, and they were most likely intoxicated. For the next several minutes, the scrappers began shouting and yelling at Chris, telling him to get out of the building. At one point, one of the guys even pulled out his weapon and threatened to use it against Chris. Chris started arguing back, saying he had a weapon too, and that they needed to calm down before anyone got hurt. After a series of heated exchanges, Chris told them he was leaving soon and wouldn't disturb them. He then left the stairwell and went to a different section of the building to get away from them. However, as he was walking away from them, that's when things started to take a turn for the worse for Chris. To Chris's absolute shock, the group of scrappers began shouting and started coming down the stairs, potentially trying to get to him. Disturbingly, as they were walking down the stairs, they even started Chris, already having had a heated exchange earlier, and the fact that they were now actively searching for him, had lost interest in exploring the building further, and he immediately started running toward the exit. Fortunately for Chris, despite being absolutely terrified, he was able to get out of the building before the scrappers found him, and he managed to escape the potentially life-threatening situation without any harm.